right. So, Adam, we hear so often, I'm paying for so many financial software tools. Do I really need them? What's the ideal tech stack to help me get where I need to go?
Yes, you need all of those tech tools. You must have. Because at some point in time, it made business sense to take on that tool. The real question is, do you still need them? And I think that's the question we're getting a lot is we've all collected some level of tool set, whether it's paid for once or paid for ongoing. And we use them in different capacities. Someone said it recently, they called it the Frankenstack. Frankenstack, like Frankenstein. It's put together, pieced together over time with no logic. And it looks like this motley crew of a technology infrastructure that makes sense or not. No different than people's financial lives, right? Right. It's complicated. I acquire a bunch of stuff over time and we never go back and challenge, does this still serve what it was intended to buy or just to do? And that's why you have kind of this every once in a while inspection process that makes a lot of sense, right? Whether it's finances or whether it's our Frankenstacks. And I think the real question I would encourage advisors to answer is, what is the purpose of this tool, right? I think about it a lot because I'm a kind of closet carpenter. I like building things. And over time, like most of my peers, I've accumulated a bunch of tools. I mean, like screwdrivers and chisels and power tools and tools that support my power tools and infrastructure and battery chargers. And, you can get crazy with this, just like any hobby. Is I have an entire garage and now warehouse filled with these tools that haven't seen use in maybe years. Can I say that? A drill press that I haven't used in 5 years, I still keep it. Because I paid the capital cost of it, it doesn't cost me anything to keep it other than space. And when I need it, you can be sure I'm really happy that I have it, right? Not many people can say, oh yeah, I've got a drill press. I need to do this specific, this hole, but I can do that. But if I had an ongoing cost associated with this, I might really challenge or question whether it's worth the space it takes and the cost that it's eating up. And that becomes now a business decision. If I was a professional contractor or builder, I could probably assign the cost of that item to a product that I'm making. And the same thing is true in financial advice. If you're paying an ongoing cost for a utility or a tool, it should have the capacity to be either generating revenue, right? I'm using it with some number of clients that's generating more revenue than the cost, or keeping that revenue, right? It's an insurance payment. Or I need to keep it because I might very well need to use this at some point in time. It's one of those kind of, I've got this in the back office. We were joking and talking about dentistry, right? And it probably in most experiences that they use one or two tools almost for every single cleaning, for every single experience. But every once in a while, you need also some of these other tools that may not see a lot of use. You can't imagine going to a dentist. They don't have a basic tool to do their work. So I think for advisors that are contemplating what's really in their tech stack, there's clearly the tools you must have. You must likely have a CRM, a financial planning tool for back office calculation. You probably need a portfolio management tool to execute that which you are helping to manage, especially if you're charging for it. And you likely need some form of presentation environment experience in order to bring all that complexity together. It's where AssetMap has really shown that it lives in conversational financial planning, where we meet with our clients. Everything else beyond those 4 tools or 3 tools, if you want to bring them down to 3, are questions of whether they're affordable, right? Can an advisor continue to afford to keep it in the inventory as I might use it once in a blue moon? Or does it actually generate real return relative to the cost? And I think that's the challenge that a lot of advisors need to question. If I have something that's taking up space and costing me money, is it now generating revenue, or does it have the capacity to generate revenue? And if it doesn't, it makes it pretty obvious that it could probably be chopped.
So how does the integration of those tools play into that decision?
Look, we get that question all the time, is what is critical to integrate and what is not critical? I think going back to my analogy of the tool set, I have a lot of power tools that are cordless. That means they have a battery that plugs into them. That battery has to be in the same brand and voltage in order to work with all the other tools. And so for my core tools I use all the time and I burn through a battery, I need them to be on the same platform, like the same integrated tool. That typically relates to CRM with planning or CRM with my portfolio management tool, or sometimes my planning tool and my portfolio tool, depending upon how I'm using it and how I build a presentation for that client experience. But there's other tools that don't need to be integrated and it's not critical. In fact, I'd rather them be the best tool for the job because I care about the output than just the convenience of it happens to be integrated. And so we have seen a lot of advisors say, well, everything has to be integrated. And I don't know that that's so true. The effort to get everything to work on the same pluggable battery is an overkill, especially when we're not using those other tools on the daily. It would be ideal if all of this were on the same power supply system, same data coordination, but it's just not feasible today. What we do think is that the reality is that AI will come in and probably make it a lot easier for us to move data when that's trusted, especially as a data handler for private personal information. But until that time, we're really reliant upon an API structure, which is how these tools can talk to each other. Why at AssetMap, we've been focusing on now that about 17 some integrations and are actually making public our published API for partners to build to coming up soon. It's going to be really important for other newer companies to start building to us and our data model so they can plug into our power system in some way. But in the meantime, I would really encourage advisors to really go through the first exercise, which is what is critical, what helps me make money, what really is essential to be connected to my data sources, and what is it's just too much effort to put the data in. I could just key in the data in 2 seconds and just use the best of that tool. And I think that's still going to live on for the next, I would say, 5 or so years as a predominant way from a business standpoint to best use your tech stack. The tools that we kept in our practice were pretty much the same, right? Our integration of our portfolio management and CRM is critical for us because that's really where the service and revenue is generated. Our financial planning tools, we carry as many as 3. AssetMap is our center core used for 100% of our client base. And we've kept more analytical tools in the back office to support very specific use cases like estate planning and like social security modeling, like deep retirement distribution analysis when we need those tools that are not integrated with our other core tools and don't need to be because they're episodic use. Highly valuable, generally expensive, but valuable because we can assign how they're actually used with clients and revenue generation to justify the cost, especially when it's an ongoing cost. I'd be really curious what the community thinks are other tools out there that operate independently, that are worth keeping on the shelf, even though they might be questioned because it may not make a lot of sense economically to keep. What are the comments that you have that you'd want to add to our thread here?